What is going on, guys? So today we're back with another Pokemon Masters video, and today we're actually going to be taking a little bit of a deeper look into Pryce's sync grid. So it just got released with this ice type training event not too long ago. It's just been a couple of days now. If you already have enough orbs to basically get most of the stuff in this sync grid, hats off to you, man. I've been grinding for a little bit, but I don't have nearly enough to actually do anything with Pryce, really. So let's actually take a look here. So I made a couple of graphics that we're gonna kind of cut to and basically use that for the majority of the video, but I just kind of want to break this down into kind of like an analysis on this sync grid and kind of what you may want to focus on, and kind of give you some ideas on some paths that you could take to kind of boost Pryce in different ways, kind of. But I really would like to hear from you guys what type of situation you're going to try to put Pryce in, because once we get into all of the stuff inside of his sync grid, you'll start to see that there are several different ways that you can kind of take him. But other than that, let's go ahead and jump into this sync grid here. So if you'll notice, the sync grid is kind of broken down. I would like to think of it in terms of like 4 quadrants. So we have this top right hand section, we have the top left hand section, we have the bottom right hand and the bottom left hand. And each one of these sections kind of have like a little theme going. And you'll notice that the top left and top right are connected by this purple square. This purple square right here is going to be for our sync move, kind of getting some more power attached to that. The bottom left and right are also kind of tied together through that specific tile as well. There's kind of a theme going on, and whenever we get more and more sync pair grids released, we'll kind of be able to tell if this is going to be an ongoing theme, like amongst the different roles. I'm pretty sure this is how this is going to go. It just makes a lot of sense when I broke this down into how it kind of like works out. So in this top right hand corner, you'll notice that we have one red tile. In the top left, we also have a red tile. The bottom right and the bottom left also have tiles as well. So if we actually check these out right here, these are kind of tailored towards our moves. This is literally called Ice Beam Move Gauge Refresh 3. That's a mouthful, but this kind of like little section is to get you kind of into Ice Beam, because you'll notice this particular tile is to have a moderate chance of increasing the user's move gauge by 1 whenever this move is successful, and then you'll notice that Ice Beam can get powered up right around here as well. So there's a lot of different power-ups. Now, if you haven't gone through the ice event, I will make this very apparent. First off, the graphic that I'm going to be using in this video and my tile sets are going to look a little different because I have already purchased that sync move upgrade for Pryce. So my sync move level is at level 2, but you'll notice that these need to be level 3 or higher. We currently don't have a way to do that yet, so I'm not really going to go over like once you get to level 3s yet. There's not really a big point right now, and honestly, once we get that far, it's kind of literally up to you on what you want to do. But either way, back to what I was saying. So you'll notice the red tile here and the surrounding tiles all kind of go into a theme about Ice Beam. You'll notice in the bottom right hand, this one here is for Icy Wind Move Gauge Refresh 4. So of course it's going to have a chance to increase the user's move gauge by 1 whenever this move is successful. And then you'll notice we do have Icy Wind power-ups right there, and then we actually have an accuracy one right there. So this is quite impressive because it kind of means that whenever you look at a grid and you like zoom out on it, you can kind of think of like the 4 quadrants as your 4 moves that you have. So if we actually click over here, Ice Beam, Icy Wind, Dire Hit, I'll teach you a lesson. You'll notice here on the top left, we have Dire Hit, and then on the bottom left, I'll teach you a lesson. So all of these kind of things tie together, and it kind of makes it one cohesive like unit whenever you talk about an entire sync grid. So with that in mind, you can kind of already start to picture out how you want to maneuver through the sync grid and what you actually plan to do with it once you get the materials for it. So let's actually go over some tiles here. We're going to start off with this top left hand side. We're going to go basically left to right and then top to bottom. So we're going to start in the top left here. In this quadrant, you'll notice with the graphic on the screen, I kind of list everything that we've got here. So just to start with, in our yellow tiles, we do have Free Synergy 8. We have 2 of those, which is going to power up a move when the target is frozen. I'm honestly not a huge fan of that. I mean, it's extremely situational. I guess if you wanted to take Pryce in that direction, it's fine, but it seems too situational to me. We also do have Hostile Environment, which will help boost up the chance to actually freeze the opponent, but I don't know, it just seems really situational and it's just not my thing. We do have 2 Hostile Environment 1s for what it's worth. We do have 2 Free Synergies. And then we have a bunch of stat increases. So we have a Speed plus 10, Special Defense plus 10, a Regular Defense plus 10, and a Special Attack plus 5. And then of course we do have our red tile, which is going to be for Dire Hit, which we've already talked about. So in this top left quadrant, you can kind of imagine that this is going to be all about passives. This is going to kind of be where the passives lie, and if you really want to build a more passive focused Pryce that is literally focused on freezing the opponent and getting some benefit out of that, then this is the quadrant for you. Next, let's actually go to the top right quadrant here, so just right beside us here. At the very top, you can see we do have a Special Attack plus 10. We do have an Ice Beam plus 4. Both of those are actually going to be locked by level 3. Our sync move upgrades are also blocked by level 3 for what it's worth. I did include that one in this quadrant. And then, like we talked about, we have Ice Beam up here, which will, be able to get another move gauge or another move bar back for that. And then we have all these power-ups for Ice Beam, which is really nice. That's actually really great. We do also have a few stat increases like Special Attack plus 10, Special Attack plus 10, and then a Special Attack plus 5. So I actually like this quadrant pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of Ice Beam in particular. Like, that's not the reason that I want to run Pryce. I want to run Pryce for Icy Wind, but there's some decent stuff that you can get out of this quadrant that we'll kind of go over whenever we talk about paths that you can take. I will go ahead and mention the center of the whole sync grid. I mean, it's basically free. It just takes 5 orbs per little section here, but no energy, which is good. It does give you a small stat increase for each individual one. I didn't put those in this graphic, but it'll be all right. So now we're going to focus on the bottom left-hand quadrant, and we're going to start here. You'll see we do have several more yellow tiles here, which of course are going to pertain to our passives. We do have Healing Hail 1, Snow Shelter, Invigorating Hail 3, which we actually have 2 of those. One of those is locked behind a level 3 sync move, which we won't have for a little while, but that's all good. So Invigorating Hail is actually going to power up your moves in a Hailstorm. Healing Hail is going to actually restore a little bit of HP every time it takes an action in a Hailstorm, and then Snow Shelter just kind of prevents you from taking damage from the actual Hailstorm. So these passives are, in my opinion, these are a little bit more reliable than the ones on the top left quadrant, but it just kind of depends on the situations that you're going to be using your Pryce in. If you plan on using Candace with Pryce for Hailstorm and stuff like that, then yeah, you may want to focus more on this quadrant. But if you don't, maybe it makes more sense for you to focus on freezing the opponent and slowing them down and then doing more damage once they're frozen. It just kind of depends on which direction you want to go. Now, of course, down here, our red tile is I'll teach you a lesson, and it just kind of gives you 1 move point. So in the video that I'm pretty sure the way this is going to come out, the video that we put out yesterday with Sync Grid Basics, I kind of really briefly breezed over this, and it didn't hit me until I started actually doing the research for this. This has a moderate chance of restoring 1 MP of the move used if the move is successful. So I kind of glossed over that and I was like, oh, so we have a chance to get another move gauge back. That's not what that is. I'm pretty sure that this means that we're going to be able to use I'll teach you a lesson not twice, but actually 3 times if we get that moderate good chance. So that could actually be really interesting because that means we could increase special attack and special defense is I'm pretty sure what I'll teach you a lesson is good for. Yeah, so we'll actually be able to increase that all the way to 6 rather than only 4. We won't have to rely on another sync pair to boost up either our special attack or special defense. Kind of interesting. I actually kind of like that. And then of course we do have some stat increases down here. HP plus 20. We have 2 of those. We have a speed plus 20, a defense plus 10, special defense plus 10, and then another HP plus 10. We also do have our sync move upgrade here for another additional 25 power. Of course, it is locked behind a level 3 sync move, so we can't really do a whole lot with it right now. And then our last corner here is actually my favorite small little quadrant. So to start with, our red tile is actually going to be for Icy Wind. It is currently locked behind a level 3 sync move, which kind of sucks because that's kind of like the big move for Pryce, but I have a feeling that's going to be what happens quite often. Is the best, like the bigger, better move that the sync pair has is usually going to be locked behind level 3. It's just going to kind of be a way that they get us to play more, to get more sync move upgrades and all that good stuff. So unfortunately that is actually locked, but if you unlock it and actually use it, it is going to give you a chance to get 1 move gauge back whenever you use Icy Wind. We do have Icy Wind's accuracy plus 5 we talked about earlier, and then we have all of these power plus 5s for Icy Wind, which is great. We do have a couple of stat increases like speed plus 5, HP plus 10, and another speed plus 5. So all of those are really, really good. I really like this quadrant, only just basically because I love Icy Wind. It's such a good move, and it's kind of the reason that everybody likes Pryce. Now that we've gone over each and every one of the tiles to kind of talk about what they're all going to be able to do, I'd like to talk a little bit about the paths that I think would be decent for Pryce. And of course, all of this is completely subjective. You can take this any direction that you want to. There's plenty of different areas to go to. It's just kind of up to you how you want to build out Pryce. So the first kind of iteration that I want to try to illustrate for this is basically if you only have your first level. If you haven't unlocked the level 2 through the ice event, or if by chance you're watching this video a little late and you weren't able to get into the ice event and do it, this kind of route I feel like makes a decent, it's pretty much like a decent stat buff to Pryce just in general, and it kind of gives him a little bit extra firepower in some situations. So the first route that we're actually going to go, I do highly recommend that you go across all of the center tiles here, and then I'm going to say that for the top left-hand quadrant, you can do these bottom left 3 tiles, which are going to be your hostile environment 1, which is going to help you inflict extra freezing status conditions. You can do a special attack plus 5, and then we're going to get that dire hit MP refresh 3. So dire hit, of course, is going to be really important to get off critical hits, which is going to help you increase your unity attack in freaking co-op and stuff. It's going to help you get to that unity attack a lot faster, which is going to be good. The hostile environment 1 is going to help you freeze the opponents, whether it's in solo or co-op, doesn't matter. That's going to actually help you pretty much slow the enemy down, which I think is a good thing. And then, of course, special attack is just always good. In this top right-hand quadrant, I think we're basically going to only be able to go for the stat increases here. So the special attack plus 5 is good, special attack plus 10 is good, and then that second special attack plus 10 is also great. So the reason that we're not really going any deeper is because we're going to run out of energy and orbs really fast here. If you wanted to, you may actually be able to get the Ice Beam move gauge refresh, but I think it's actually locked. Yeah, it looks like it's locked during the level 1 sync move situation, so you can't really go any higher than that. You could increase Ice Beam's power if you wanted to. Just kind of depends on which direction you want to go. I'm going to leave some of that up to you guys. Whether you like Ice Beam more or Icy Wind, going to kind of be able to do either one there. So next in this bottom left-hand quadrant, we're going to kind of stay pretty shallow here. We are going to do this first HP plus 10, which is good. Then I would personally go for Snow Shelter just because it's great. You can kind of ditch the special defense. You could go for a more bulky version of Dewgong rather than having Snow Shelter if you don't plan to run into mini Candaces in co-op, or if you don't plan to use Candace on a team period in solo. It can be completely fine to go with the special defense rather than the passive there, which is a-okay. But then ultimately I would get the speed plus 20. It's going to be great. Pretty much anything past that starts to get blocked. You could go for another HP plus 20 if you kind of wanted to mess around with it and maybe give Dewgong a little bit more bulk there. Then our last quadrant here, we're going to kind of keep it simple. We're only going to get these stat increases unless Like I was saying earlier, if you don't want to go for Ice Beam, you could maybe go for 1 or 2 of these Icy Wind tiles, and maybe, well, you only have 1 available at level 1 anyway. So if you wanted to go for a more powerful Icy Wind, do that, or kind of go for more bulk in the left-hand bottom quadrant, Ice Beam power in the top right-hand. Just really depends on which way you want to go. I personally would say, at bare minimum, go ahead and get the speed +5, the HP +10, and the other speed +5. All those are going to be fine. You're going to be able to increase a ton of your stats here with Pryce, which is definitely going to be good. Out of all of this, total, just what the ones that I would suggest, not counting the Ice Beam increase, not counting that HP in the bottom left-hand quadrant, and not counting any Icy Wind boosts or anything, it's going to cost you 522 orbs to get there with 50 energy. So you do have 10 energy left over to kind of play around with, depending on which way you want to go. But that's just really up to you. It really would depend on which direction you plan to take Pryce in, but I think that's a pretty good start. It gives you a little bit of a dabble in each of the quadrants, and you kind of can branch out from there. Now, if you by chance already went through the ice event and you were able to secure the level 2 sync move, this is the route that I personally want to take. I really like this idea, and until we get a level 3 sync move, I think this is the build that I'm going to go with, but pretty much going to start with that center ring again. We're not going to do anything in the top left-hand corner. Like I was talking about earlier, I personally don't feel like it's worth spending the energy or the orbs on. Maybe some of the stat increases would be okay, like maybe if you wanted to go to the red tile and get the dire hit MP refresh, and then maybe go for the special attack and maybe the speed somehow. I don't know. That's kind of be up to you. But personally, I'm going to stay away from that top left-hand quadrant. Moving on to the top right-hand, we're going to basically take the same path as our level 1 situation. We're going to get all of those stat increases, the special attack +5, the special attack +10, the second special attack +10, and I'm definitely going to go for the Ice Beam move refresh, just because, I mean, there are some situations where I'm trying to get to a sync move, or I'm trying to hit off a unity attack and I don't want to wait on that 1 bar to come to get Icy Wind, so I'm just going to use an Ice Beam. It would be nice to have a moderately nice chance to get some move gauge back because I'm trying to be in a hurry. Like, it just sounds really good to me. So definitely going to go all the way up and get that red tile for that corner. Next, in the bottom left-hand corner, we're going to do something very similar to what we did with the level 1. I personally would go for the HP +10, the snow shelter, because I think weather conditions are cool. Speed +20, just like we did in the level 1, and then go down 1 further to I'll Teach You a Lesson, MP Refresh 3. So definitely feel like it would be worth it to have I'll Teach You a Lesson be able to be used 3 times in a match. It's not guaranteed, it's not going to happen like all the time, but a moderately good chance at being able to use it 3 times in a match would actually be really good, especially if you're buffing up for like the first of the match and then, oh, you actually get a 3rd one off. Maybe you can hold that 3rd one until after the enemy sync move. At this moment, we still are currently under the whole, like, you're going to drop. Once that changes, go ahead and boost all the way up to 6. Just get your stuff out of there. Be really cool. And then in the last quadrant, I am actually going to go for the speed +5 here, and then I'm going to stick to the Icy Wind powers. So I'm actually going to avoid the HP +10 and the other speed +5 only because the Icy Winds are going to be pretty nice. Boosting up the attack of Icy Wind is going to make it hit so much harder, and it's an AoE damaging move, which just makes it so much better. So the reason that we're going to kind of have to dodge certain things and kind of leave that top left quadrant out, the total cost in orbs for this plan right here is 720 orbs. So that's a ton of orbs that you're going to have to invest. Plus, it is actually going to hit that 60 energy cap. So, that is going to be a pretty hefty grind. Now, if I had to make like any sort of prediction on what I would do after we got our level 3, I think I would start to pull out a little bit of the bottom left-hand quadrant. Maybe go for the dire hit MP refresh. That'd be the only thing I go for in the top left, and then probably get around to our sync move buffs to actually buff up our sync move. In total, it should give you plus 50 power on that sync move, and then definitely fill out the rest of that bottom right hand quadrant. Get the icy wind accuracy, get the icy wind to give you another move gauge back like as soon as you use it. I'm pretty sure it's a moderate chance, so either way though, yeah, it's a good chance of increasing the user's move gauge by 1 whenever this move is successful. So I mean, I definitely feel like Icy Wind is the way to go here. And I mean, I like the idea of his passives in the bottom left-hand corner, at least. Not nearly as much in the top left-hand corner. But yeah, so that's pretty much like the way that I would go about doing Pryce's sync grid. I'd love to know what you guys think about it. Do you guys already have the materials to pretty much get this out of the way? Which directions are you gonna go? I will leave a link down to this graphic if you want to kind of play around with it yourself, if you want to like basically look at it. It is extremely high res, but you know, it'll be good if you want to play around. So yeah, that's actually going to be my basic like little rundown of Pryce's sync grid. I'm really excited to actually be grinding out stuff to kind of fill it in. I think Pryce could actually be, I don't know who I'm going to make my next 4-star into a 5-star, but Pryce is really high up there. I really like Pryce, and Dewgong is just really cool. Okay, so if you want to follow along, on the count of 3, we're going to go in 1, 2, 3. So no flashy animation here. See if we can get trolled by the antenna. No 4-star antenna. What about the doors, though? Give me some good doors. Come on. We do get 4-star doors, and it's a Marshall, so that's actually really cool. I'm pretty much just kind of collecting those 4-star power-ups right now. I'm definitely excited to boost our next 4-star into a 5-star, which actually I don't think you guys have even seen that video yet because it's scheduled for a little while after this. But either way, I did actually already boost up a 4-star into a 5-star, and depending on how observant you are, you may have already seen that. But either way, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know about what your opinions are on Pryce's sync grid. Do you think that it's a worthwhile investment to grind for these sync grids? Do you think that you already have a build in mind? Because that's kind of like the big thing right now, is which direction do you really want to go with this? But either way, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thanks so much for watching. Always remember that you can join the Discord if you want to. It's linked down in the description below. Also down there are links to Patreon and YouTube memberships if those are your thing. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and head out, but I'll catch you in the next video.